as Minnie.
Be very brief. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Could I have some water?
Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Kalani.
Shot. Could I have some water, please? I'll be very brief today, Madam Speaker.
2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, before I get into the bill, I want to deal with some constituency matters. You're not going to distract me. According to the central bank, and I want you to listen very carefully. According to the central bank report, the Bahamian economy grew close to 3% in 2025 and is expected to remain above its medium-term potential in 2026. Let me personally congratulate the government and Minister of Finance for that report from Central Bank. Especially in light of no Irma, in light of no Dorian, and in light of no pandemic. But, Madam Speaker, since there were no obstacle or no catastrophic events, just a smooth ride, and they claim that there's money, my constituency is listening to me, and we are wondering why the seawall opposite Nesbitt has not been done. You have money. We need the seawall. West Bay Street is compromised. Any bad weather, there is problems. I am launching for my constituency now, because you're not going to bring Robin, you're going to bring Robin Hood, whoever. I don't care whoever. These are matters that would have been there before. I know that there were legal issues previously, and that was the delay. My understanding is the legal issues has been resolved, and therefore the seawall, check it, Prime Minister, it's been resolved, and the seawall should be done. Why is our Goodman's Bay Park still not dealt with appropriately? The problems that I complained about, cars racing throughout, still happens today. Our roads, you have money. If you have money, why is our roads in Bahamian West not being repaired properly? The roads in the South Ocean Boulevard not being repaired properly. The roads in the Nico apartment and East Devonshire have not, you have money, according to the central bank. Where is the money? Kalani pays their taxes, so we're asking for our share. We need proper drains in the Highland Terrace area, Arcadia Street. And why is the Frank Watson Highway properly drainage not introduced? Because once there's any degree of rain, it is totally impassable. Madam Speaker,
You're far from the gates, you know.
as there are monies available, I will continue to ask for these things. Now, Madam Speaker, I just want to say again, there were certain sectors that was removed from the Kalani constituency, especially those in the South Westridge area, Kalani Shores, Emerald Coast, and quite a number of divisions in that area, I would have made commitments and promises to those subdivisions. I am a man of my word, and I want them to hear that even though they have been moved away from me, I will continue because they are still a member of the family. And the park that was promised will continue. Now that park, that is, who's Owen?
All is well.
That is now in his constituency.
Yes, it's on.
That's right, it's right. That is now in the St. James constituency, but it's St. James, eh? But I will still handle certain factors in there. But Madam Speaker, I rise today on behalf of Killarney constituency to contribute to the natural gas-related borrowing resolutions before this honorable chamber. The cost of electricity in our economy affects the cost of all goods and services. It affects every household and it affects every business. With there still being deep cost living problems in our country, discussions of electricity cost is a sensitive issue for Bahamians. And last summer was another painful, frustrating, and difficult experience for our people. Many people had to go into their savings to pay their bills. Electricity is not something people can go without. Sky-high electricity bills remain a burden, even though they have come down during the cooler months. In many instances, the electricity bill was like another mortgage or car payment, taking hard-earned money out of the pockets of the Bahamians. Hard choices had to be made between paying the electricity bill and paying for other essentials such as grocery and medicine. Despite many pledges, the cost of electricity has remained high during their watch. This is especially so in the peak summer months. The PLP promised a new hospital in New Providence and a new airport in Grand Bahama. My position still remains the same with respect to the new hospital. I think drugs are essential, medication essential, beds are essential, supplies, equipments are essential, and individual's mental state is most important. Medical staff, both nursing and doctors, have left the hospital not because of salaries, but because of working conditions. My last son is a physician who has gone off now to specialize. And he had stepped down from his employment at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And I asked him, why has he quit his job? Are they not paying you sufficient money? And he said to me, no, Daddy, money is not the issue. You cannot work under such stressful conditions when you sometimes cannot find syringes to take blood. You diagnose things, but you can't give individuals medication. See, I'm leaving to maintain my mental state, and many physicians are leaving for that reason. Health, education, and security should never be a political issue. We must all work together to improve that. Because one day, we will end up in that hospital. But we need the equipment and the supplies. Minister, all I say, you and I have difference of opinion about the new hospital. But you and I want the best for our people. I think that is the wrong choice at this time. I think you should concentrate on trying to maintain the mental states and environmental conditions that our people are working.
Thank you so much. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Tall Pines.
I must admit that at one particular time you sat where I sat, or where I'm sitting today, and the issues that you speak about were there at your time, and they're there at my time. The point that I want to make today is that over the last 4 years, I have traveled and I've been in contact with many of my ministerial colleagues throughout the region and by extension around the world. The issue associated with this new pandemic of chronic non-communicable diseases is affecting all of the countries. And it's getting worse, which means that the demand on our tertiary healthcare facilities is going up and up. Like Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and now some parts of Barbados, all of us have the same manpower issues, and they're all building tertiary healthcare facilities that will help us. God forbid we have another pandemic. The Princess Margaret Hospital is not equipped to handle any form of mass infectious disease, and we would be confronted in the same situation you were confronted in, whereby you could not even take care of sick people because you focus on the pandemic. Everyone in the region is constructing new state-of-the-art facilities so that we can prepare ourselves, God forbid, another pandemic come in. But I want the Bahamian people to know that even though there may be challenges at the Princess Margaret Hospital, we are addressing those challenges one step at a time. And far as the renovations are concerned, it's an old structure built in the 1950s. And we are chasing the wind as far as the maintenance component is concerned. The future is new construction. But we must learn to walk and chew gum at the same time. And so we intend to build this facility by way of Chinese resources, and it does not affect what is budgeted for the Princess Margaret Hospital, other tertiary institutions, as well as the clinics.
Thank you very much, Minister. I want to go back to my opening statement. The Bahamian economy grew close to 3% in 2025 and expected to remain above its medium-term potential in 2026. You have money. You brag about the money. Therefore, you can pay your bills, etc. The question again, where did the money go? I'm only reading a report. You have money. Where did it go? Madam Speaker, I only want to say to the Minister that the success of health care and patient care, the success of our health system can be graded and determined by the number of beds that are required. If the number of beds requirement continues to increase, it means that our healthcare system has failed because our people are becoming ill. We're not preventing the sickness. They're becoming ill and requiring tertiary care. The number of beds are continuously rising, and therefore we have to look at why, at that at the knees. Our healthcare system has failed. It has failed each and every one of us, and that's why I say it cannot be political. Our people need proper health care.
The member for Galani has made a valid point. I am a reasonable person. I'm sitting where you sat. You know the challenges. All ministers of health who have had the opportunity to be in this position understand that there's no quick fix to the system. These fixes require brick and mortar. But I agree with you. We can do a better job in universal primary health care, and we must do a better job in providing services at our tertiary healthcare institutions. I am fully aware, we all know that this is a 24-hour job. You don't sleep when you sit in this chair. And we are constantly in contact with people who are suffering in the system and people who need care immediately.
Member for Tall Pines. No. Thank you. Member for Tall Pines. As I would have shown earlier, it has been said that this is the worst that it's been. No, let me ask the question, legitimately. The worst it's been in 22 years. So what has happened that the doctors would say that this is the worst that it's been in 22 years? Yeah.
Well, I had the opportunity, I almost say Marco City, St. Barnabas, to read the article in the newspaper as a result of an interview via a talk show host. The president of the union gave her opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But if you read the body of the report, she has indicated that the incidence of chronic diseases is so far proliferated that the funding for healthcare supersedes its budget. Now, the Minister for Kalani, the Member of Parliament for Kalani knows that as a cabinet minister, every year you go and present your budget. You present a budget and you always come back short. That is the reality. Maybe you have not experienced it, and maybe one day you will.
He overspent.
And you will be in a position
He
to
overspent,
understand the pains of governance based on cutting a pie or cutting a dress to fit, cutting the cloth to fit the dress. The reality is, healthcare is an expensive business, and she made a valid point that Bahamians will have to come to the realization one day that it can be free. They're demanding more. And as you demand more, the demand on the public purse increase. And there's only so much resources you have. This is the reason why national health insurance is the future and the way for universal health care coverage in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We need a new modality of financing. What we are experiencing in the healthcare system now are the shocks. And a tsunami is coming if we do not find a new mechanism for funding for healthcare in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That is the reason I laid 5 pieces of legislation before the summer break that will lay the foundation necessary to put this thing in the right perspective and to be able to have the resources necessary to address the new pandemic in the Bahamas, which is chronic non-communicable diseases. My hospitals are consumed by pretty much the same people coming back and forth, simply because there is a breakdown in universal health coverage and integrated health services. So she had a right to speak her opinion, but read the body of the article. The other week, she also said doctors are leaving in droves. I don't know where she got that from. I know some doctors are leaving, but the last time I did an assessment, I ain't know but no droves. The reality is healthcare is a challenging business, not only in this country, throughout the world, but more specifically in the region. You want me to tell you something? Despite the challenges I'm not speaking to St. Anne's, I speak into St. Barnabas. Yeah. I realize you wouldn't answer the question. I speak into St. Barnabas. St. Barnabas, despite the challenges we have, the healthcare system in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is the best in the region.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, you said you made a very important statement. And you said that health care cannot be free. And that is why, hold on, and that is why I said, health, education, and security must be beyond politics. You know it can't be free. I know it can't be free. All right? But if we make it political, when you say people have to pay, and then I'm on opposition, say, oh, no. People do not need to pay. the healthcare system cannot advance. We have to work together. But don't ask me to pay when my money go through a sieve and disappear. I want accountability. I want every cent to be accounted. And I don't want to pay, and 90% of what I pay go for employment. That will not correct the system. That's some of the problems that one can face. All the money go for paying staff. And if you're paying staff, Madam Speaker, let me carry on. Despite many pledges, PLP pledges, the cost of electricity has remained high during their watch. This is especially so in peak summer months. They promised a new hospital in New Providence and a new airport in Grand Bahama. Neither has been built. They promised big things on Grand Lucayan and Grand Bahama. They have failed spectacularly. The same broken promise behavior was the case with energy bills. Big promises and big relations stunts, followed by little to no results. Bahamians of all political stripes agree that the electricity system in the Bahamas cannot continue as is. BPL collapsed financially and via its service capacity. This has been a long-standing challenge. Conceptually, Bahamians support the idea of reform. The Davis administration launched its version of energy reform. While we in the opposition agree that change is needed, we have been concerned about the secrecy surrounding various arrangements the government has gotten into. We wanted to know Madam Speaker, there's a flu going around throughout the U.S. and the Bahamas, and even after the flu is resolved, apparently the cough lasts for about 2 weeks after. And I'm in that 2 weeks phase. We want to know all the facts so that we could examine what really was to take place as part of the government's changes. However, there has been insufficient disclosure. There has not been enough transparency. Significant details remain outstanding despite many calls from the opposition and civil society for that information. As the Nassau Guardian said in an editorial as early as 2024, and I had to table those articles, quote, "We have no reason to blindly accept anything the Davis administration says about Bahamas Power and Light. It has made critical missteps with the entity, and the trust deficit is immense. The Davis administration has outlined several key reforms, including the building of utility-scale solar power in the Family Islands, the expansion of solar projects on New Providence, and the modernization of the electricity grid and transmission network through a partnership with Island Grid. The process through which these projects were awarded raises serious questions. The government has not provided sufficient details about the competitive procurement for these projects, and in some cases has had no public procurement at all." It went on to say,
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Elizabeth.
Madam Speaker, 2 points I wanted to raise. I didn't want to interrupt, but then I just don't want to get lost in the conversation. Firstly, all of our Family Island projects, and I spoke about them earlier today, and I wanted to use the chart again to make sure it's clear, but every one of these Family Island projects that you see, which had microgrids with LNG, solar, and battery storage, every one of them went through a rigorous RFP process, every one of them. The project that we're speaking about in Clifton, that was an RFP in 2018 or 2019 that was won and then stopped and forgotten and restructured. That's the same project. They won that bid. That's what we got from BPL. That was one that they'd already started spending their plans, planning. They spent over 20 million prior. That was already, that already went through RFP. When I tabled the documents at my budget. I tabled every one of the PPAs, so there's no secrecy under them. The Attorney General, there were certain portions of the other agreement still under negotiations. They provided an executive summary that shared some detail, and I don't know what secrecy. I also wanted to state that the shore power and the pipeline, these were under also rigorous RFP processes, every one of them. This shore power had about 40-plus persons, many of which was from the United States that was seeking to place a bid, and the Bahamian group won that. Again, the pipeline had about 70-plus companies viewing. There were 3 top contenders, one of them being a company from Trinidad, and a Bahamian group won. These are Bahamians that went in a competitive bid process and won. So I don't understand the comment about, yes, in my budget, June budget.
So it's coming from me. One thing we can all agree on is that BPL provides a poor, unreliable service at a high cost. Historically, I was sitting in front of my TV, just bought a TV. BPL had a surge, and my TV was knocked out. Up to the day, I have not been reimbursed. I did every Christ thing possible. And if I, at this level, did not get paid, God help the poor man whose who had their supplies knocked out too. You must change that system so that people can be reimbursed. That claims the Man, I complained in here. Check the records. I complained in here. Immediately after it was blown, I complained in here. You told me what need to be done. The government. Listen, man, I already bought a new TV. There are surges. Can I resubmit my bill?
Yes, you can.
All right. Will I get paid this time? Jesus Christ, There are surges that damage equipment, costing residents and businesses. With government control of the entity, politics has gone into its decision-making and management. The Minister of Energy and Transport has previously said that BPL needs more than $1 billion to get back on track. That is more than $500 million to declare its debt and responsibility, and more than $500 million to upgrade its infrastructure. BPL has not thrived under state control. It is clear that a new way forward is urgently needed. The Bahamas needs to change the model at BPL and in the energy sector as a whole. We currently use significant amounts of dirty, heavy fuel for power generation. If you listen to me, you would note that I'm agreeing with the government in many aspects now. Just shut your mouth for a minute and listen. We should transition to natural gas and solar power as our 2 main sources of energy. Those transitions are underway. While natural gas is a fossil fuel, it is cleaner than the heavy fuel we use. Both natural gas and solar are quite affordable too. It is best to keep building solar and other renewable sources over time, which would make us increasingly energy independent. The less we spend buying energy imports, the more foreign currency we keep at home. These borrowing resolutions are related to starting up the country's transition to natural gas. I support the resolutions just as I support the transition to natural gas. What I again call on the government to do is to fully publicize all agreements it has gotten into regarding its energy sector reform. We are in an election year. For the people to properly assess your work, they need to know what you have done or have failed to do. Thus far, we have some information about parts of the energy reform, but other information has not been forthcoming. Let the Bahamian people know the details of the deals, who are the partners, what are the contracts, how long they are for, what are the terms of all the contracts. In the 2021 election campaign, the PLP promised it would be accountable to the people. And as my colleague reminded you, in 2017, big headline, PLP promised free electricity. I'm still waiting for my free electricity. In this energy sector reform, that has not been the case. We are chasing details for this, just as we are chasing details for the Grand Lucayan. In that case, in Grand Bahama, an announcement was made as to what was supposed to happen with the hotel. Many months later, nothing is happening, and we cannot get a detailed and full statement from the Prime Minister as to why. His last statement regarding the redevelopment of the hotel was vague. It only added more confusion to the situation. The PLP's failure at transparency with the Grand Lucayan deal has shifted the mood in Grand Bahama. The people on the island want to support something that is workable. Now, months later, with the deal stalled, the people of Grand Bahama are even angrier with the PLP and the Prime Minister. They think the government announced a deal that was not a real deal. What was supposed to be a major positive for the PLP is now negative, with Grand Bahamians having lost trust in your administration. Madam Speaker, with the PLP's energy reform, we now also see in one of the newspapers that there's friction between BPL and the new company that was formed, Bahamas Grid Company, BGC. BGC was formed by the government and US-based Pike Corporation to control the transmission and distribution network on New Providence. According to the Nassau Guardian story on Monday, there was some friction between BPL and BGC over responsibility for the island-wide blackout over the weekend. The Guardian said it understands that the two entities have faced tensions ever since the Davis administration ended its agreement with Pike to take over the transmission and distribution system on New Providence. What is the basis for this friction? Why aren't the companies working together properly? These are yet more questions surrounding the PLP's energy reform process. The confusion of this process is now playing out in the newspaper. I warned the Prime Minister that just as the people of Grand Bahama are losing trust in his party over the lack of transparency regarding the Grand Lucayan, the same thing is happening to his energy reform process because of failure to fully disclose all the details. Madam Speaker, I've been moving about through the Kalani constituency door to door. And as I and my team go door to door, many residents, the majority, many residents tell me they've lost hope in both major parties. When people begin to feel unheard, perhaps it's time to move. Perhaps it's time for more more independent-minded candidates to step forward as individuals willing to serve their communities without being controlled by party politics. I remind the PLP that this is the people's money that is making deals with, it is making deals with. The people deserve to be kept abreast with the details as the government proceeds with its initiative. No government has a right to hide the facts from the people. Transparency is owed to the people. The PLP has historically had difficulty with transparency. Each time the people voted out the PLP government, the issue of lack of transparency while in office was a major factor in the party losing the election. If the governing party keeps to its ways of not wanting to disclose, this version of PLP could suffer a similar fate at the next general election. Madam Speaker, Kalani supports the resolution to borrow these millions of dollars. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member